Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Citizen Wire, the platform where we speak to the power. We're back again. This is a very, very worrying development. I think for me, as Africans, dialogue should always be the way forward. We should not be facing each other, because the people who are telling us about democracy and everything else, they want democracy to operate within the confines of the West and the way they see. But when it comes to Africa, they are controlling and steering in a particular way that's causing division, that's causing oppression, suppression, and really dividing Africans against Africans. So we should do everything possible to not go to war against each other, because as we speak, the French they take our mineral resources, they take the mineral resources of Niger for nothing. They don't pay anything back for it. So why should we propagate what is benefiting those who are outside of the continent? We need to be very, very clear about what we're doing here. Let us go and look at what's going on here. I'll just make sure. I showed something yesterday and I might share it again. But let's talk about this. In a move that is very, very concerning, Tinubu Writes Senate seeking backing for military intervention in Niger. It's a very, very worrying development. ECOWAS had given the Nigerian military a week from Sunday to reinstate ousted President Mohamed Bazoum or face harder sanctions. I want to state again that ECOWAS, for me, as an African, as a proud African, I don't see ECOWAS as being working and speaking for the interests of Africans, but the interest of the colonizers who is directing the actions of the puppets in power in ECOWAS. Many of them. We need to stand with the likes of Ibrahim Traore, of Burkina Faso, the Mali person in there, the colonel, and of course the general in Niger. We as Africans, we shouldn't turn guns on each other, which is obviously what the colonials are trying to push for. So let us read again in depth. ECOWAS had given the Niger military a week from Sunday to reinstate ousted President Mohamed Bazoum or face harder sanctions. You've of course seen the video I shared earlier on where people were laughing at Tinubu. I don't know if you saw that video. If you haven't, it is on Citizen AY on YouTube. It is not really. I think we should really. Dialogue is always the first way going forward for me. I do not believe that having anything else other than dialogue will solve this among ourselves, and we should not allow the proxy war of the West to be something that we allow to happen on our soil. We shouldn't allow that to happen at all. We should in fact reject it, and these are the kind of things that I really like to come and talk about and ensure that it doesn't become something that is how can I put it, that is happening on our soil. So we really need to have a look at that. Let's see. So one more thing, I'll come back to that 1 second. So he's now gone to let me go and see. The Senate on Friday received the letter from President Bola Tinubu notifying it of the decisions of ECOWAS Community of West Africa as regards political situation in Niger Republic. In the letter, President Tinubu is also seeking the support of the Senate on the decision of ECOWAS, including military intervention to restore democracy in the neighboring country. Frankly, to me, the more I look at this, the more I look at the way France has stripped and raped minimum of 14 African countries, taking away 500 billion euros every year of their money and only giving them 15% on a loan basis. It is sheer injustice. There's nothing democratic about that process whatsoever. Now, let's carry on. So in this letter, he's also seeking support for the Senate on the decision of ECOWAS, including military intervention to restore democracy in the neighboring country. We should be very, very mindful of not going the route of war. I will say that. President Mohamed Bazoum was detained and overthrown on July 26 by his own guard in the region's third push in as many years following takeover in neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso. The regional body had given Niger military a week from Sunday to reinstate the ousted military, ousted President Mohamed Bazoum or face harder sanctions. So, of course, now let's go ahead and read it. Tinubu's letter read, following the unfortunate political situation in Niger Republic, culminating in the overthrow of president, ECOWAS under my leadership condemned the coup in its entirety and resolved to seek the return of democratically elected government. In a bid to restore peace, ECOWAS convened a meeting and came out with a communique. Closure and monitoring of all land borders with Niger Republic and reactivating the border drilling exercises. Cutting off electricity supply to Niger Republic. Keep in mind, Niger has uranium, and that uranium can provide power, but all that uranium is being taken away by France. So what's democratic in that process? Zero. We should be mindful of going into another country. We should be very mindful. Mobilizing international support for implementation of the provisions of the ECOWAS communique, preventing the operation of commercial and special flights into and from Niger Republic, blockade of goods in transit to Niger, especially from Lagos and eastern seaports, embarking on the sensitization of Nigerians on the imperative of these actions, particularly via social media, military build-up, and deployment of personnel for military intervention to enforce compliance of the military junta in Niger should they remain recalcitrant. On Thursday, the former Nigeria's Vice President Atiku Abubakar warned the Economic Community of West African States not to travel the road of military hostilities to resolve the leadership crisis in the Niger Republic. Atiku faulted the plan, saying using military hostilities may exacerbate the status quo. According to him, the crisis requires diplomatic engagement, which must mean the channels for dialogue should be well sustained. In my opinion, that is a brilliant move. That is a brilliant move. And that is what we need to do. That is what we must insist on. We need to make sure that President Tinubu understands in the clearest possible terms that he should not go down that road. We definitely do not. I would be calling on President Tinubu to really not go down that road. Dialogue must be the only option. And this is a worrying development. We will keep you all posted and updated on what's going on. We should not allow proxy war of the West to happen on African soil. We should not allow the proxy war of the West to happen on African soil. It is time that we Africans stand together, resolve our differences in a way that we deem fit to save lives of our people. Because those who are telling us to go to war, they are exploiting our resources as we speak. They are exploiting our resources as we speak. So we need to be very, very clear and mindful about that. So I would say dialogue is the way forward. Dialogue. And we should not. And keep in mind, Russia is they've got allies in Russia, and we cannot. We are living in a multipolar world. Let us be very, very realistic. And it is time that those President Tinubu and others are aware that it is no longer the game of U.S. is no longer the game in town, only game in town. There are many other players, many suitors, and we need to choose carefully what we put ourselves into. Particularly as we're looking into ensuring that our people benefit from our resources. Up to date, the system that we've wholeheartedly we've been psychologically compelled to support has actually oppressed us. For the most part, has oppressed collectively every single African. And I think it's time now that we lift the veil from our eyes and open our eyes and begin to look at what is in the interest of the sovereign African. I'm saying that deliberately. Sovereign African. What is the interest? And this is what I am here to reiterate. There should be caution. Dialogue must be the watchword. Dialogue must be the watchword, not taking action. Because the action, these are actions instigated by the likes of France. And we know France stealing money literally away from 14 countries for years upon years, and even as we speak, and forcing countries to borrow their own money. This is not right. We need dialogue in this situation. So What are your thoughts on this? How do you view this? It's a big concern that to hear that he's writing to the Senate seeks backing for military intervention in Niger. We need dialogue, not fight. We need dialogue. We need dialogue, not military intervention. We need dialogue, not military intervention. That's how I say it. You, of course, watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. What are your thoughts on this? How do you see this? The most important thing for us as Africans is no longer must we allow ourselves to be to have proxy wars of the West fought on our soil. We need to make sure that our interests as Africans are the ones that are first and foremost in our mind. The interest of preserving every single African life on African soil must be our top priority. It is the top priority of Europeans to minimize the loss of lives in Europe. So it should equally be the top priority of Africans to ensure and minimize the loss of African lives on African soil. So I once again urge myself and others, we are urging for dialogue in all cases. It must be dialogue to resolve the situation. Currently, what is happening when you restore if you restore the president of Mohamed Bazoum, you just means that you allow the status quo of the French taking uranium for free from Niger to continue. Whereas right now, there will have to be negotiations. And these are the kind of things we need to look at. So we really need to make sure that Africans, we are looking out collectively for our interests. Africa must unite. Our unity is non-negotiable. So ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. How do you see this? It's a concern that Tinubu is seeking backing for military intervention in Niger. Dialogue must be the watchword. Our dialogue is must be the only option on the table. Dialogue, in my opinion. What are your thoughts? You are watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Before you go, please subscribe to Citizen AY, hit the notification button, give us thumbs up. Help us reach more people. We really appreciate your support. Here we go. Subscribe to Citizen AY, hit the notification button, give us thumbs up. So one more time, subscribe, hit the notification button, and of course, give us a thumbs up. Help us reach more people. What are your thoughts? Leave your comments. Let's hear from you. We do not want a war to happen on African soil, particularly when it's been instigated by Western powers. It is in their interest for them to actually create war and create division among Africans. Now, in the age of enlightenment that we're in, as Africans, we must see past their games and begin to look at the bigger picture of how we're going to bring peace and prosperity to Africa. We have to bring peace and prosperity to the entire African continent, and it is only achievable through our unity. Of course, many of those colonials have successfully, over 400 years, kept us divided, speaking to this one and that one, keeping us divided on our soil. And we say enough is enough. The time now is for us, no longer must we fight each other. Dialogue, resolve our situation, and come up with things that would ultimately benefit Africans collectively on African soil, first and foremost. That's what we must do. That's my opinion. What are your thoughts on this? You're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'll be back later on. Please subscribe to Citizen AY, hit the notification button, give us a thumbs up, help us reach more people. What are your thoughts? Let's hear your comments. And of course, keep it locked on. Citizen AY.